Hello, everybody. I wanted to make a short video for you that will uh, summarize what we went over in lesson number two, going over Hebrew vowels and also over the gutturals and the shawah, just a few of the items that we went through in class. So you don't have to watch the whole video, the entire class recording. You can come back just to this and do the vowels. So let's look over these really quickly. The first one that we want to look at is the patak. It's called a patak, and it's right here. The patak. It's this flat little line. It's an A vowel and it has a ah sound. Ah. It's called a patak. And you'll notice it's in the short vowel column. These are important to keep in mind. The short and the long vowels. You'll need to just remember what those are as you go forward. And I can show you what can be an easier way to remember what those are as we go through them. The next one is a comets. Comets. And this one is called a comet's hay, but you can just call it a comets. But just keep in mind that when the comets is paired up with the hay, as it is here, this entire piece is considered the vowel. The hay is not a consonant in this case. So when it's a kamat's hay, that is the vowel. The hay is not acting as a consonant in this particular case. The next one here is sagol, sagol, and it has a sound of like pet, and you can hear it in the word segol, pet. So it's just an e sound, an sound. The next one is a tsere, tsere, and it has a sound of a, like is in they, a. That's how that sounds, sere. And you notice that this one too also has this thing that's called a sere yod. Sere yod. And the sere oftentimes does appear with the yod. And when it appears with the yod and there's nothing underneath the yod, just like up here, there's nothing underneath the hey, then this is considered the vowel. The sere and the yod is the vowel. Even though it's taken up space and it has a consonant, the yod in this case is not acting as a consonant. Our next one is called a hirik. Hirik. And they have this one as pit, I, as in pit. I tend to just pronounce the hiriks the same way, regardless of how I find it, which is what we see over here, the hirik yod. The hirik yod, as in ski or E. I tend to just pronounce it, both of them, as E. But again, on this one, when you see the yod with the hirik, that is the whole vowel. Notice there's not a vowel underneath the yod, which means the yod is attached to the vowel that precedes it, and that is the whole vowel. Our next one down here is tricky. It's a kamatz katan. Kamatz katan. And it has the sound O, like hope. O. Now, we won't be talking about when this shows up until the next few weeks, why it changes the way that it does. But for right now, just be aware that 99% of the time, the comets is going to be ah, and 1% of the time it's going to be oh. And it will be important to remember when we start talking about how we deal with verbs. The next one is holum, holum, and the holum is right here. Holum, it's a little dot right up above this. Holum, as in hope. O, it's the O sound. And you'll see right here that there's another one where the holum is on top of the vav. This is called a holum vav, and it's the same sound. It's just a holum, makes the O sound. The next one we have is a kibbutz, not caboose like at the end of the train, but a kibbutz, as in rule. Ooh, that ooh sound, rule. And the last one we have is the shurik, shurik. And it makes the same sound as in rule, but notice it too is with this little vav, and that is the vowel. That is the vowel. We will see that. And don't worry, we'll learn how to tell these apart when they're a vowel, when they're a consonant. But anytime you see a vav with the little dot above it, that's always going to be a holum. Always going to be a holum vav. It will always be a vowel. And anytime you see, almost anytime you see, but anytime you see the vav with the dot in the middle, it's going to be a shurik. It will be a shurik. For the Shawah, which can be the most confusing part of Hebrew, the Shawah is confusing. It gives students a lot of challenges, but try to simplify it as much as possible here. A Shawah does something very specific. It marks the absence of a vowel. It tells you there's a consonant here, but there's no vowel on it. The trouble is sometimes a schwa can be silent, it makes no sound at all, and other times it can be vocal. And when they're vocal, they're just there to help you get from one letter to the next. Sometimes there are some combinations of letters that need a little helping vowel sound to go between them. So we need to tell the difference when we have a schwa that makes a little helping sound and when we don't. That was under the simple schwas. We talked about these things called composite schwas that also have within them the little marks attached to them that have the different sounds. So in this case, the patak up here, the sagol here, and the kamets here. These also indicate the absence of a vowel, but they're giving you the sound you need to get to the next letter. So when you have two consonants that are there and there's a schwa in place that needs to be vocal, it will give you a sense of what the sound needs to be to easily transition to the next letter. Whenever the schwa over here is vocal, it will always make something like an a short, very brief sound in all cases. Now, the reason we have these composites is that the gutturals, they like to take composite schwas. And that's simply so that you don't lose sight of the consonant that's there. Since the olive is silent, the hey has a soft sound, the het has a soft sound, and the ayin has essentially silent. We will use these composite schwas to give a helping sound to transition to the next letter so that we don't lose sight of the consonant that is supposed to be there. So that's how we deal with schwas. And just as a quick little practice when we were going through this, we looked at this example also for the dageshes, because as we went through the dog, you notice that sometimes the dagesh is there to double a letter and sometimes it's there to mark a vowel. And so on this particular slide, when we went through class, we know that the consonants for this word is a mem right here, a sade. There are two vavs and the final kaf. So there's actually 5 characters that make up this word metzavecha. Metzavecha. It's not metzauka. This is not a shurik. Okay. Not a vowel. So now no vowel. Okay. And the reason we know that is it has a shurik under it. Sorry, not a shurik. It has a schwa underneath it. And that's telling us there isn't a vowel on this consonant, so it's not a vowel. This is a doubled consonant here. The sade has a vowel notation, and the va has its own vowel notation, so it must be a consonant. So there's 2 vavs in here. They both have shavas. And according to the rule of shava, the first one, when they show up in the middle of a word, the first one is silent. The second one gives that little helping sound. Me, tsav, veha, metsav veha. That's how we do that one. As opposed to this guy, which remember when I told you, you have a hirik yod or any vowel and a consonant, and notice there's no vowel under the yod. So it has to be part. It must be a part of the vowel that precedes it. And in this case, it is. So the pronunciation of this one is very simple. Sim, sim. That hirik yod, and you can hear the sound in the hirik yod, the name, hirik. That tells us that the way we pronounce this is sim, sim. So that's just a quick little overview of the vowels. What you can do is get your consonant chart out, your alphabet out, get your vowel chart out, and start combining some of the sounds. Or you can use the sheet that I put in your student locker over at Instructure Canvas and start putting these sounds together. So you can go to a mem and attach a comets to it and say ma, ma. Or you can go to a noon and attach a holum to it and get the word no, like no. I'm not